I'd like to call the Board and Advisory meeting to order. First on the agenda, any public comments, questions from the public related to topics that are not on the meeting agenda, but related to the authority responsible of the Board and Advisory Board. Any questions or comments from the public? Not seeing any. Next, we approve the minutes last meeting.
Well, I move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got approval and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is IECC committee meeting updates and final draft of Chapter 8, Article 1, Division 6 of the Salina Municipal Code.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. We're bringing this to you this afternoon. This is the final draft of the International Energy Conservation Code, and this subcommittee final report reflects a total of 6 meetings that we've had to discuss the International Energy Conservation Code. This will be a new Chapter 8, Article 1, Division 6, which we do not currently have in the Salina Municipal Code, so much discussion went behind this to come up with this final draft. It also involved 2 meetings with our design professionals and other professionals in the community to come up with this final draft, which was finalized on February the 6th. We will be asking the board this afternoon for a decision to move forward with this 2012 International Conservation Code, Chapter 8, Article 1, Division 6. And we've identified 3 options for the boards at the conclusion of this presentation. And I'll come back and reference that in a few moments. This is the final draft of the Division 6 for the International Energy Conservation Code, and this is the final draft based upon those meetings that we've had. There are a few amendments that are going to be applicable. One of the key amendments will be all of the, well, to begin to clarify, anything that has a preface of the letter C in the 2012 International Conservation Code, that is for commercial requirements. Anything with the preface of the letter R in the International Energy Conservation Code is applicable to residential only. So one of the amendments that we have here is to delete all of the reference from R, the reference to the residential portion or residential requirements for the International Energy Conservation Code, and we refer that back to our Chapter 31, not Chapter 8, as it relates to our International Residential Code. All of those provisions will be in the International Residential Code as opposed to being referenced in the International Energy Conservation Code. So the amendments that we see today, the amendments that we have up here, are applicable to commercial projects only. One of it is the table C 402.2. Much discussion went into this to reflect the current table that you see here. It is amended somewhat from the original version of the 2012 to best fit the needs of our jurisdiction.
Jim, you're saying that that's amended from the 2012 IECC?
Yeah, you'll see right here is what we're referring to. It's going to be a new section 8-159, and it is an amendment to the International Energy Conservation Code, specifically applicable to residential provisions, Chapter 1 through 4. Those are deleted and replaced as follows, and you'll see that the applicable provisions shall comply with Section 8-56 of the Salina Municipal Code as amended. And that is reflected in our international international residential code. All of the provisions specific to any of the energy conservation requirements are in that section, as opposed to repeating ourselves twice, basically. And that's all of the amendments that we have with the commercial provisions. One of the other topics that we had during these discussions was, it was directed by both the subcommittee and our building community, our building design professionals, very curious as to what are current codes adopted in neighboring jurisdictions. So we made this table. I did extensive research, and effective as of January 2016, these are indeed the current codes that are enforced in our neighboring jurisdictions. The one that you see in your packet that's highlighted in red is the International Energy Conservation Code, so you can see the various jurisdictions on what they have and what their amendments are. Some of the jurisdictions have not adopted the International Energy Conservation Code. Others have. Some have different versions. Some are the 2012, some are 2009. Some apply only to residential with no commercial provisions. So the way the amendments are it's entirely across the gamut, so to speak. And our next slide here reflects, the first slide that you saw reflects all of the codes, the International Residential Code, Building Code, whatever, Plumbing Code Edition, all of that is in your packet and identified. And this next slide is specific to the International Energy Conservation Code and every jurisdiction that has it and what their amendments are. Again, if you're in an older edition, whether it's the 2006 or 2009 edition of the International Energy Conservation Code, anything that preface with 5, the numeral 5, 501, 507, whatever the case may be, anything that is referencing Chapter 5, which is the commercial provisions. Anything that has a preface of the numeral 4, 401, 407, whatever the case may be, or is applicable to residential. That's in the older editions. In the 2012, again, as I mentioned earlier, it is the letter C for commercial and the letter R for residential. And these are current as of, again, January 2016 on what some of the neighboring jurisdictions have. For instance, there are no amendments to the commercial provisions in Lawrence under the 2012. Their only amendments are applicable to residential provisions. In Topeka, for example, there is the entire Chapter 5, which is applicable to commercial energy, was deleted in its entirety, and they only enforce Energy Conservation Code 2009 provisions on residential only. And with all this information and compiling this information, the report that we gave you earlier is what subcommittee and our design professionals came up with best for the city of Salina with this new Energy Conservation Code applicable to us, Division 6. Is there any questions on the staff report or the?
Yeah, I had one. Did I understand that right on the first draft that you had, or the table that you had up there on, like Wichita, Hutchinson, and McPherson? They didn't adopt anything for the IECC.
On the first table,
Yeah.
Wichita, Hutchinson, nor Hayes has adopted the
Yeah,
Energy
Hayes.
Conservation Code.
And-
Nor did McPherson.
And did you talk to them about? I mean, did you directly talk to them?
On some of the individuals, yes. Directly talking to every jurisdiction, no, I did not.
Okay.
This is what's current and what's provided out there for us.
Do you know why, like, Wichita didn't adopt it?
No.
I'm just kind of,
We didn't go into that level of detail.
okay. I'm just curious more than anything. A town of that size.
Now, that's not to say they're not in the process of doing so again. But for now, no, they do not have it. Any other questions on that topic? If not, I would like to bring this back to the board. And we have the following options for the board's consideration. One is to approve a motion to direct staff to move forward with this code adoption process to include the 2012 International Energy Conservation Code with the Salina Municipal Code amendments as was presented. Number two, approve a motion to direct staff to provide specified additional information or take a specified additional action before making a decision. Or three, other action as the board deems appropriate. And I'll turn this back over to the chair for that consideration.
Okay, we've got everything. Does somebody want to make a motion?
I move that we accept it as written.
No, I'll second that. I'll second that. Is there any discussion that should be made from the public or anything?
Yes. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to comment on this issue? Okay, not seeing any, bring it back. We've got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda, review presentation of 2015 BAC annual report and the 2016 BAC action plan.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Annually, we bring to you our action plan and our annual reports. And as part of this process, we are presenting the 2015 Building Advisory Annual Report and our action plan for your review. Again, this item is only informational and it does not require any action from the board, but it will provide you with information as to what was accomplished in 2015 and plans for 2016. As our accomplishments, the Building Advisory Board also acts as the Property Maintenance Appeals Board. So we had 2 appeals in 2015 that was heard by the board. The board also reviewed and recommended the following codes and associated municipal code amendments, and that was for the 2012 International Building Code, 2012 International Residential Code, 2012 International Fire Code, 2012 International Energy Conservation Code, 2012 Uniform Plumbing Code, 2012 Uniform Mechanical Code, and the 2011 National Electrical Code. In addition, the board also reviewed and recommended the revised Chapter 31 Property Maintenance Code for adoption. The board also addressed continuing education opportunities and authorized staff to allow full credit for continuing education units specific to Code Adoption Subcommittee and BAB meetings to allow full credit. As goals, the board will continue to address continuing education needs for our contractors and will provide direction on providing the CEU opportunities. The board will complete the code adoption discussions, recommendations, and process by first quarter 2016. And it's possible it may be autumn or thereabouts, fall of the year before we complete all this process. The board will complete the code adoption process for Chapter 31 Chapter 31 property maintenance by the first quarter. And actually that one is scheduled to be presented to the City Commission, I would say in March. So we're very close on having that one submitted. Other items of interest for the board. We began these code hearings September the 9th, 2014. Our ultimate goal at that time was recommending adoption of these 2012 building codes and 2011 electric code by the first quarter of 2016, and we're very close to being on track with that. The board will continue to provide direction to contractors and embrace new ideas regarding continuing education opportunities. We held thus far 26 in 2015, we held 26 subcommittee meetings and 10 building advisory board meetings. We also hired a new property maintenance inspector in 2015, and he began work on December 14th, 2015. To put in some perspective some of the workload throughout the past year, we issued 436 building permits, and this is specific to new construction, renovations, remodels. This included 65 new single-family residents, 16 commercial buildings. In addition to that, there was another 1,523 permits issued for water heaters, furnaces, air conditioners, etc. We performed 3,608 permit-related inspections, performed 1,328 plan reviews, created 2,544 new property maintenance complaints, performed 6,281 property maintenance inspections, and we prepared 2,040 notices of violation for property maintenance code violations. Suffice it to say, it has been an extremely busy 2015, and we see it to be an extremely busy 2015 as well. Again, more development is coming in, more plans are reaching our desk each and every day. 2016 is starting out extremely rapid, as did 2015. So we anticipate to be very, very busy again. Staff does appreciate and extend great appreciation to the dedication of the board for all of these subcommittee meetings and the huge amount of work that was accomplished to come up with the building codes as we have now and the building codes that we will be presenting in the future to the City Commission. We effectively have completed our task with the subcommittees, and now we'll go on forth to the City Commission at a future date for adoption. One thing staff was going to update the board on, we have recent updates from the State Fire Marshal's Office. They are definitely in the process of almost finalizing their adoption of the 2012 edition of the codes, international building, international fire, etc. It is in the State Attorney's General Office now for final review and edits, etc. Once that is complete, the local fire marshal, Mr. Williams, and I will sit down, we'll look at what they have in place. Then we're going to submit, as we know, anything that is less restrictive than what the state has adopted, we need to submit to the state for their review and approval as well. And we'll complete that process hopefully within the next month or so, depending on what we hear back from the state fire marshal. I know they're very close now, so this is, the more we could keep simultaneous with them as far as the process goes, the easier it will be for all of us, I believe. Less confusion. If we look at our action plan, for the 2016, some of our goals and some of our action plans will reflect a review of the 2012. As we had basically, what we see here to begin with is what we had in our 2015 action plan, and the 2016 is reflecting those items of which we have completed. And as you notice, as I mentioned, we completed a tremendous amount of work. The review of the 2012 International Residential Code, the 2012 International Energy Conservation Code, it too is completed. The International Fire Code is completed. Uniform Plumbing Code is completed. 2012 Uniform Mechanical Code is completed. National Electrical Code is completed. Chapter 31 Property Maintenance Code is completed. Review of the Municipal Code Amendments for adoption. We have completed all those on the local level. And again, the review of the Office of the State Fire Marshals, their code adoption process. It is in progress, it is ongoing, and it is moving fairly quickly, and I anticipate that to be resolved soon. I do not have a specific date on when that will be completed, but I will absolutely keep everyone informed on when that is. And I'll also keep you informed on when it is we're submitting what few amendments we have that could be determined as being less restrictive on the state level for their review.
And Jim, will that go to the city commission at the same time?
It is the intent that we take to the city commission at the same time for adoption all of the codes that we have discussed and those that we have ready for presentation to them. It is possible that the International Energy Conservation Code may be a separate entity, and it may take a little further explanation, but all of the other codes, everything is planned to be submitted at the same time for adoption to the city commission.
Okay. And even the fire?
Correct.
Okay.
But that exact date's not been established. As I said, we need to be more concise with our time frame with the State Fire Marshal's office. And then we want to know at least have the assurance that we have provided them with our amendments that they need to review. And that process is ongoing before we take anything to the commission at this time. We don't want to be premature with this.
Sure.
We want to try to streamline it as much as possible with their process so it doesn't delay us any more than necessary.
Well, I'd like to say, I think it's a great accomplishment for you and what you've done over the last year, getting us to this point to take it to the city commission, because I've sat in a lot of the subcommittee meetings and it's just phenomenal what you've presented to us. The homework was already done. I assume that was done by you.
It was indeed.
But I think, you should be, noticed for your accomplishment of what you've done, because it has been a lot of work.
It has been a tremendous amount of work, and again, it wasn't just me. It was,
Yeah,
the subcommittees, our board, our design professionals,
yeah.
our contractors. It was a team effort, and we have indeed accomplished a great deal.
Yeah. Well, and I just think that overall, not only this, but I think our building inspection department, building services has a different reputation today than we ever have. And there again, I think that's totally because of you.
Well, that's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Well, I think it should be noticed that the job that you're doing.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Is there any way we can vote him a raise?
Yeah.
Somebody
I think
please
so.
take note of that.
Get Jason down here.
And then for our 2016 action plan on what we proposed for 2016 items that we need to complete, of course, is the conclusion of our code hearings with the City Commission, a review of continuing education requirements for our building contractor licenses, review of the continuing education requirements for skilled trades license, establish a new category entitled Underground Utilities and Excavation Contractor for contractors performing specific public utilities work. Research more opportunities to provide continuing education programs for contractors, and specifically on a local level, and provide a study session presentation to all design professionals and contractors regarding an overview of the 2012 building codes and municipal code amendments to same. Now, that is something that we could probably accomplish even while we're in the process of submitting this to the City Commission, or we start getting to that process. While we're waiting for the final review of the State Fire Marshal's office to their adoption process, submit our amendments to them which need review, we can also begin the process of establishing or trying to get up basically it'll be a continuing education session. It's my thought that we need to have this in the chamber annex, invite everyone for continuing education and a refresher, and then go over all of these code amendments that we've already discussed. We've, after a year, I myself become a little forgetful, so perhaps a refresher would be in order for all of our design professionals and contractors and everyone else, so that we refresh our minds as to what we've covered this past year. And I'll try to get that established within the next few months.
And so that meeting, would that encompass all the trades?
All the trades,
All the amendments for all the trades and?
yes.
And, okay,
It'll be all inclusive for all the amendments that we have for every code, specific International Building Code, International Residential Code, Uniform Plumbing Code, Uniform Mechanical Code, and it'll all be presented again so that we can all refresh our mind and see, okay, this is what we accomplished, this is what's going to be taken forward, and this will, in time, become the code for the city of Salina.
okay, and how long of a process do you think that'll be, or how, I mean, as far as the meeting?
The meeting itself will probably be, I'm thinking I could probably do it in a half-day session.
Is that lunch included?
I knew that was coming. I'll see what I can do about lunch included.
Hey, at least breakfast.
We'll see what we can do about breakfast and lunch included. Coffee, I'm quite sure we'll make coffee.
Okay, at least that, so.
And that's all I have for this afternoon. Turn this back over to the chair. You have any
Do we
other
need
business?
to vote on what our action plan is for 2016, or is that just,
No, that's your informational only.
okay,
These are some of the goals we'll no doubt achieve during the year 2016.
okay. Well, there's no question in my mind that it'll be accomplished, so.
All right, and we still have two remaining youth members, board openings that if anybody is interested, let us know. And guess that's all. Anybody have any questions?
None.
Okay, not, meeting adjourned.
Very good. Thank you.